Hi, this is bsicotte with Terracom, and in this quick video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Yokogawa AQ6370E-10 and -20 optical spectrum analyzers and what the differences are between those two variants. A little bit of housekeeping. The best way to go about getting this information, I think, is to go to the Terracom website, terracom.com, and on our landing page here, you can see we have some general information, but you can certainly go to our regional line cards and contact us through there. You just select your region and the correct person. Oh, that's the line card. So these are the other lines that we represent, and you can print this line card out. Or you can go here and look for your correct person. So I went to upstate New York, and bsicotte's here. That's me. My phone numbers are there. If you want to send me an email, you can do that. Another thing I'd like to point out is our resources page. We post videos like this on our resources page, as well as white papers, app notes, other interesting things that we get from our principals or that we create ourselves. Let's go ahead and get started with this. Let's go to Partners. And you can see these are the lines that we represent. I'm going to go to Yokogawa. The reason I like to go through the Terracom webpage is because it puts you directly into the optical test equipment page for Yokogawa. And it also does it in the US webpage. That's kind of nice because Yokogawa sells a lot of other things, power analyzers, data acquisitions. And you could certainly get to that from here, but it just saves you a couple of clicks. All right, so let's go to Optical Spectrum Analyzers. And here's the full complement of optical spectrum analyzers that Yokogawa offers, and things like the viewer software and so on. So that's quite interesting. And you can get to things like documents and videos and so on from there. I'm going to go to the 6370E specific page. Okay. And you can get to more information here, manuals, brochures, so on. The part that we're interested in is the difference between the standard and the high performance models. And there's three or four differences that I'd like to point out. Okay, so the first difference I'd like to point out is the wavelength accuracy. So the standard accuracy in the -10 is 15 picometers or 0.015 nanometers. I apologize, I bounce back and forth between picometers and nanometers. It's a bad habit I've gotten into. The high performance version, between 1520 and 1580, you can get up to, you actually have a guaranteed 8 picometers of accuracy. And that's actually an improvement over the previous model. The previous model used to be 20 picometers and 10 picometers. And you can also, the way that you achieve that is there is a built-in wavelength calibration source. So this unit actually, you can self-calibrate it with just a fiber between the input and the calibration source, and you get that guaranteed 8 picometers from 1520 to 1580 and 15 picometers across this band. Okay, so that's good. If you need that, that's worthwhile. Applications where you would need that, laser manufacturers would probably want to have that for if you wanted to test a laser wavelength with a good amount of accuracy. WDM people would be interested in that. Anywhere where wavelength accuracy is an important parameter. Another place that they've made a change between the -10 and the -20 is the dynamic range. Let me go ahead and highlight that. So they spec it at 1 nanometer off the carrier, 0.4 nanometer off of the carrier, and 0.2 nanometer off the carrier. And you can see here that the high performance, the -20, is significantly better, especially these typical numbers. And you'll realize when you get this instrument that these specs are quite conservative, and you will see things like these typical numbers fairly regularly of these instruments. We specify them a little lower so that we don't have to, we can keep the costs reasonable. So you can see a significant improvement here 45 dB to 50 dB, typical 55 dB, very close in 0.2. 62 dB, 64 dB, typical 70. So that's a pretty significant improvement. And where that's important is when you're measuring laser features, things like that, close in. Side mode suppression ratio is an important measurement. And if you have side modes that are very close to the carrier, this will really start to affect you. And you'll see a dramatic difference between the Dash 10 and Dash 20. All right. We have this high close-in dynamic range mode that is a special mode that is only available in the Dash 20. And this is for measuring single longitudinal modes. Okay, so let's underline here. All right, and it makes the spectrum sharper and so on. You can see right here that we really sharpen up the spectrum with this mode. Okay, and that mode's only available on the Dash 20. So again, laser manufacturer, probably a very good application. Another thing that you get from the Dash 20 is a little bit better stray light suppression. Right, our standard stray light suppression ratio is 73. The Dash 20 is 76 with a typical of 80. And you can see here, again, where I was talking about things being quite conservative, this is 80 dB on a typical unit. And you can see that this is down quite a bit. This is actually a pretty challenging spec to make with an OSA like the AQ6370E. And the reason is because the 6370E, as you'll see down here, is a free space input. And so you would think, and you'd be correct, that stray light is a challenge with a free space input because there's light rattling all over the place that you have to control, as opposed to having a fiber input on the front panel. So those are really the differences. Going over that again, wavelength accuracy is better, dynamic range, especially close in, is better, and you get this high close in dynamic range mode for single longitudinal mode lasers. Okay, I hope that helps. The difference in price as of the video that I'm doing right now is about $6K. But go ahead and contact us, and we'll get you an updated quote. All right. Any other questions? Please reach out. You can reach me at bsicotte, bsicotte at terracom.com, or you can reach any of us at sales@terracom.com. Great. Thank you.